all these projects, they're not providing real value in any sense other than just the hyper speculation on an image.
Welcome to the Tradercobb Crypto Show. Today, my guest is a pilot, if you can't tell by watching YouTube and seeing the pilot uniform. I have a man of the skies who has come to digital assets and is the founder of Ethjets. I have Nick Scott, nicknamed Moose. Mate, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Mate, look, obviously, you're sitting in a hotel room. You've just gotten off your jet. You're an active pilot right now. We know that much. Well, I know that much. The people now know that much as well. But
Yeah.
what's your background and what brought you? Obviously, piloting, but what brought you into the digital asset space?
I think I've always two things that have been consistent in my life, and that's I've always had a dream for aviation. As a kid, used to just pretend like being a pilot in the skies, being an airline pilot. And the other thing is I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I remember like going door to door in my neighborhood and selling like a guess how many jelly beans are in here, and the winner gets a watch. And it was like some quarter machine watch or something. But so from the time I was young, I've kind of always had that in me in aviation, and it wasn't until I got into NFTs and really kind of got hooked on them. But the more I searched, I'm like, I can't find an NFT with like true utility value. I just wasn't into the speculation driving the prices up and down when there's nothing behind it, but false promise of a crazy roadmap. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, so how long have you been a pilot for, by the way?
So I actually started flying when I was 16 years old. So started really early.
Yeah.
Professionally, I've been flying for a little over 20 years. I've got a little over 13,000 hours of flying experience. I've experienced, I'm a certified flight instructor, multi-engine instructor, instrument instructor. I have my Gold SEAL certificate, which a very small portion of all instructors in the world have that. I'm a training captain at my airline on the Airbus A320, 321. So it's something that it's a passion of mine. I love it.
Good to hear, because passions
Yeah.
help us to drive through the hard times that will eventually come at
Yeah.
some point in all of our lives. So passion
Yeah.
is a big, big thing. So look, let's jump in now. Thank you very much for introducing yourself and letting us know where you're from, what you do, how you do it. Obviously, you're very qualified to fly the big birds in the sky. Tell us about Ethjets. What's the business plan? And tell us the business plan. I want to understand what it is you're putting together here, and I want the audience to understand that as well. So tell us about Ethjets.
So Ethjets really, it was born with the idea of like how can I marry the two things that I'm really really passionate about: NFTs, technology, Web3, and aviation. Looking at those two things, I'm like, the only way I can make a business successful is if I can solve a problem or fill a void that's not currently there. So the first thing I did is I started looking at jet charter outfits and what do they offer, and calling different places and getting quotes. And one thing I realized right away was to join or to access a private jet. It was extremely expensive through a jet card membership with a huge upfront fee. So US dollars, 20 plus thousand minimum just to join, to then charter the jet. Then I started looking for are there any other ways where it can be affordable for the average person? And the answer to that was really no. And that's kind of where Ethjets came about. The more I dug in, I realized I'm going to be able to provide something that is not being provided at a cost that no one in their right mind in the industry would do, without going for it like we are at Ethjets. And so we're basically giving you the opportunity to fly in a private jet for an affordable price.
Well, if you've on any social media at all or anything to do with crypto, you will know that people love to be on private jets because that is the content
Yeah.
that people want to see, because it makes you look really rich. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there'll be a
Yeah.
lot of people that are very interested in that, not just for the experience of flying private, but the whole glory points. So that works in
Yeah.
your favor. So tell me, what are you trying to do? Like obviously you've got a series of 2,700 NFTs available, and what is that going towards? The
So
proceeds, I
the
should
20,
say.
Yeah, yeah. So the proceeds are basically going to fund our first jet. So the jet in question here would be a Gulfstream 4. The Gulfstream 4 is a beautiful jet. It has a great legacy, great history of well maintained. It's a beautiful jet. Seats up to 12 people, but more importantly, the demand. So the demand for the large cabin jet right now is absolutely insane and has increased year over year, especially since COVID.
And look, I understand that. Well, hang on, how much do one of these jets cost for a start?
So a Gulfstream 4, a used one that we're looking at is right around 4.5 million.
Oh,
Um, so it's actually affordable, but we've
yeah,
got to do paint, interior. You compare that to like a G550, which is like a a longer range version. Um, the average person wouldn't be able to tell the difference, to be honest with you.
yeah.
It's got an extra window, um, but some one of those jets you're looking at like 15 million. So this is why the G4s are in high demand right now.
Okay. And am I right in saying, like, I've looked through your pitch deck or whatever you want to call it, and you're saying
Yeah.
that one of these jets can provide $3 million a year net profit?
Yeah, so with the demand, like I was saying, the demand is absolutely insane right now. Last year alone, over $200 million went unfulfilled in charter requests. So there was $200 million in charter requests that people couldn't fulfill because there were a lack of aircraft. That said, we have the ability to really charter our plane out 800 to 1,000 hours a year, which is quite a bit due to the demand.
Yeah.
So when you look at costs, expenses, or expenses with pilots, maintenance, fuel, upkeep, things of that sort, minus what we can do. The net profit on these is pretty amazing. So we're looking at just a little over $3 million a year in net profit.
It's a crazy, like, that's a huge amount of missed opportunity. And we were speaking prior to hitting the record button, and you're saying that since COVID, there's been a big shift in the wealth gap. And is that, you said that something along the lines of 10% of what was sort of owned and run by the commercial sector, as in, like, your major airlines, first class, business class, has gone across to, they've lost that. And is that now in the private sector, private jet sector now?
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, I think it's no surprise if you look at the gap in income during COVID, the rich got substantially richer. I mean, it's no secret, and that's really driven the demand for private jet travel, along with the restrictions and COVID and things that are being put on the people and just the general flying experience,
The
even in
hassle.
first class anymore. It's horrible. And so you have people now that have the funds to fly private. Traditionally, private jet industry only represented about 10% of total demand in terms of like luxury travel, whereas just this last year they've gained another 10%, where the airlines have lost 10%. So they now basically represent 20% of the luxury travel in the private jet segment.
So look, I think you probably sort of like, I think you probably answered it to a certain extent already, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah.
What's the gap you're trying to fill? And obviously, we know there's a $200 million gap in bookings that sort of went to the wayside last year. Of course, as people are aware of that, you're going to have more entrepreneurs that are out there trying to fill that market. What are you like? Obviously, you're not just being a private jet charter company. You're also including these NFTs in there. So, what gap are you actually filling aside from the $200 million that can go into the coffers of Ethjets? What are you trying to achieve here? What's the gap?
Now, that's a great question because we've got that. I get that question a lot. Like, well, what is the what is the attitude in the industry? How are they going to be receptive? And it's the cool thing about this project is we're really doing something that nobody else is doing
Mm.
by offering the empty leg travel at an affordable rate. So what most people will never tell you is that when you want to charter a jet and go from A to B, if that plane is sitting over in C, you're going to pay for that plane to go from C to A and then fly you from A to B and then fly back from B to C empty. So you're paying for three legs in that one way trip. And what that does is that creates those two empty legs. And so what we're doing and kind of the gap we're filling is really not only the demand to travel, but to make it affordable. And so essentially what we're doing is we have a revolutionary app. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Our team designing it. It's amazing. I can't wait to show everybody. But that app will give you a push notification anytime an empty leg is published. So you, as an Ethjet NFT holder, you'll be able to see that leg, and those legs are going to be published for 90+% off. So let's just say simple math that it was $1,200 to go from C to A in my example, right? $1,200. There's 12 seats. You can then go on, reserve it and say you want it. Now, when you reserve it, you reserve the entire plane, but there's 12 seats. So let's say it's just you and a significant other, and you just want 2 seats. The app will then ask you if you want to help offset your cost by selling your remaining seats. You can then do so, and the app will then list the 10 remaining seats for $100 a piece. So if you fill that plane up, you just paid $100 per seat to fly in a Gulfstream jet on a flight that's probably at least $30,000 to $40,000 for that leg if you were to charter it by yourself.
And
So
otherwise, if you didn't fill those seats, you're looking at what, $1,200?
you're looking at $1,200. I mean, it's cheaper than a first class ticket. It's cheaper than some, coach tickets if you're buying them last minute. So,
Yeah,
and you're getting the experience of flying on a private jet. So
yeah.
I mean that's really what we're filling. We're kind of filling a gap there that doesn't exist, and that's what's so exciting about it is we're not just taking an existing charter business model and slapping a cool NFT on top of it. We're creating like a whole new segment of private jet travel.
And ladies and gentlemen, here is a great idea for your anniversary. Get yourself one of these NFTs, get yourself on one of those legs, and get yourself to a good booking for dinner because it will go down very well. You don't have to tell them how much it
Right.
costs. Well, maybe you do because you want to stay married. I'm not sure. They might think, you just blew 40 grand in a private jet. We don't need this. No, I didn't, darling. It's fine. Look, you talked about the team and the app and how it's going to be beautiful and how it's going to flow. It's a perfect segue, really, to go into the team. I've had a look through
Yeah.
your website. You've got some superstars in the work with, I think, the Dallas Cowboys or some major companies, major
Yeah.
businesses. You want to tell us a little bit about that team so we can shore up our, understanding of who you got on the technology side. Of course, the piloting and the business side, that's, by the by. Well, it's not by the by, but obviously you've got the
Yeah.
experience. Want to understand who's behind the technology and whatnot. So if you wouldn't mind just letting us know, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I think the coolest thing about this project is that about 75%, 80% of our team have all come from people who started in our community that were just interested in the project to buy it and
Oh,
ended up giving up some really cool ideas and insight. And so that's initially how we got Mike. You'll see Mike on there. He is an engineer from Canada, and he basically started the project, and we had like 10 people in there. And it was his idea to develop the app. It wasn't mine. It was his idea, and I thought, man, this is awesome. You want to do it? And he's like, let's go. This is what I do for a living. So he's a very successful engineer, and he has basically like mastered the back end development side for our app. So the user experience is going to be, flawless. So you have Mike, who's great. Then you have a guy in our Discord. His name's Freddie. We call him Steady Freddie, and he's kind of like our Discord community guy. He looks out for the community, kind of gives us insights to what's going on, how to help build the community, because that's a word that is thrown around really easy in the NFT space. But I think that by having Freddie on there early on, it really helped me understand and respect the fact that when you have a strong community, which we're seeing now, because our Discord is like blown up in the last 48 hours, and we have hundreds of people answering questions and talking to these people, and it's not just me on there or Fred or people from the team. And I think it's because our community grew from a very small base, and we did it the right way organically. So it's a really like tight knit group. So you got Freddie, who's absolutely amazing. He's got background in logistics, and he's just the man when it comes to community. Then you got OG Damon Dallas. He's kind of our hype man. If you ever hype on our Twitter Spaces, he's always on there playing the music, making everybody laugh. But you don't want to let that confuse you because he is mastermind in the NFT world. He's got his own group called Chain of Fools, where it's kind of like an alpha group, and they take things from projects. And so his perspective of over projects that have done really well versus not so well, and what they did well and didn't do well, have been huge and instrumental in helping us guide this project. Next one will be Sean, who's Mr. Gray on there. Very, very lucky to have Sean. Everything you see digitally is Sean. And I'll absolutely brag him up. Their team did digital work for United Airlines, Wawa, which is like a major gas station, the UFC. They've dealt with some major, major brands, and I 100% could not afford him had he not been so into this project that he believes in what we're doing and we're changing it, that he actually came on board with the team. So to have someone of his caliber is insane, and they're developing everything long term. So we've got the build out for the booking engine and the website post mint. That's all Sean and his team. And then we've brought on Meg BZK. She's got we brought her on to do our socials. She's just super talented at connecting with people and giving like, very quick, like 60-second clips that make sense. She's got a great following on TikTok, Twitter. She's got great YouTube content. So she came on board originally just to do those for us. And then we actually loved her ideas and insight so much. We're like, you want to come on the team full time, long term with this project? And so she just came on. And then last but not least, we just got on Mason, Crypto Mason. He's got a big following, over 1 million people on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and his insights to just crypto in general, and expertise in that nature have been huge in the project and helping us build what we are doing.
Yeah, right. Geez, you got a bit going on there, mate. And it sounds like that's the thing is, entrepreneurs and good people, when they find something good, they'll go for it. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to work on this rather than someone's going to pay me lots of money on a project that I don't really have too much interest other than the money. So that's really great to hear. Now, your community, is it in Telegram, Discord? Where is it?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Yeah, your community you're talking about, is it a Discord? Is it a Telegram? Is it
everything NFT is all on the Discord. And so if you go to our website, ethjets.com or .io, so ethjets.io, you'll see a link there for Discord. Join that, and there's a ton of information about the project.
How many people you got in there?
We have, I want to say 1,400 people. I think we've had like 700 people increase just the last like 48 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, it's finally the word's kind of gotten around. So, and everybody comes in and they're like, how is this only got 1,000 people?
Yeah.
This is so much more legit than some of these PFP projects, that have 10,000, but ours is more genuine, I think.
And maybe even real people, not just bots.
It's 100% real people. Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but yeah, it's like genuine conversations. I mean, I could tell you at least 30 people on our Discord, what's going on in their lives right now, just because I've been able to interact with them for the last 5-6 months.
Well, that's one of the things that you see in a lot of these Telegram and Discord groups. They'll say, oh, we've got 70,000 people that have just joined in the last 2 hours. So they might try and make a big hype. And it's like, yeah, you've just bought a bunch of bots, you dickhead. It's not worth anything.
Yeah.
It's not real. You're lying to me. You're trying to hype the project. So that's refreshing. Now, I want to ask the next question is, where are these jets going to be? Because I love the idea, right? I love the idea, and we'll get to some more of the utility in just a moment, so people can truly understand not just the 90% off for those, those legs and whatnot. Of course, that's a brilliant thing anyway. But there are in fact some more things linked back to the wallet. We'll get there in a second. But where will, let's say, the first jet be? And where will the first few be in the world?
So primarily in the U.S., the G4 it is a global aircraft, but it's primarily going to be flying within the United States, a lot up and down the coast, but every major city and, really in between. For the first, I would say the first 3 jets, our goal is to do 3 G4s right out of the gate. Those 3 G4s, target goal would be to fund a G550, which would then be a true global jet that could operate all over Europe.
And they're the $15 million one?
Yeah. It's not cheap, but
no, I'm sure the running costs.
It's got the legs to do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, sort of leading on from that, of course, I'm here in Australia, and a lot of I got listeners all over the world, but Australia has a big chunk of my listeners. Then it's the US after that. For someone like me, obviously, early days, unless I go to the States, I'm probably not going to be flying on your jet. So if someone in Australia who is listening to this goes, well, that sounds great, Craig, I'd love to fly private, but I live in Australia and I'm not going to the US anytime soon, and to try and connect all the dots, it sounds like too much of a hassle. Why would I be interested in this? Can you let us know what the benefit there would be for someone like me to own one of these passes?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's funny you mentioned that, because some of our more prominent people in our Discord, they're all from Australia. So I'm learning your time zone for sure. What's going on, because when I'm an early riser, and so I get up like 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and they're like, hey, what's up, Moose? Because they're finishing their day. But so that problem, how can we bring value? From the beginning, it was all these projects, they're not providing real value in any sense other than just the hyper speculation on an image or the metaverse. So we can provide value for chartering the jet, empty leg, but what else? What can we do for people in your situation, or half our Discord out in Australia? That's where the community wallet came in. Okay. And so what we've done and are going to do is 10% of the profits from the charter company will be donated into a community wallet. So the community wallet will be structured on Gnosis Safe, so everybody can see it. It's fully transparent. The people on our Discord, which will then turn to a member-only Discord, will post our financials so they can see exactly what's going on in the operation. So 10% of that profit every quarter will be donated into the community wallet. And then based on what pass you hold, you'll be able to promote the project and we can pay you an ETH for doing so. Because when we set this up, I thought, okay, I'm going to pay them, I'm going to do 10% and then pay everybody in there. And the minute I really started getting serious and
Your
talking to
legal team
attorneys,
went, no, you won't.
yeah, they were just like, not a chance that's going to happen. So then I switched gears and thought, okay, what we're going to do is buy 5 Teslas and auction them off, or maybe buy a house for some, buy a house and auction it off or give it away to somebody in there. Kind of gimmicky stuff, but that was all I thought I could do. And then it hit me because I literally get like 10 DMs a day from people saying, I'll promote your project for 0.2 ETH. I'll do a pinned tweet for 1 ETH, guaranteed 10,000 followers. And then it just clicked. I'm like, you know what? I could pay my own people to promote our project. Took it to the attorneys and they were like, that's gold. Let's go. So based on the 3-tier passes, so with a global pass, you'll get the opportunity to promote 1 time every quarter. Yep. If you have a captain pass, you can promote up to 3 times every quarter, and our Top Gun pass is 3 times every quarter as well.
Now, a question around that, because I love that, and just to sort of, I guess, put that into a bullet point. Effectively, if I own a captain's pass, I can do 1 promotion per quarter, and that could be something as simple as a YouTube 3. That could be that could just be a tweet. 3
it could be a
times
tweet.
Or
doesn't mean it doesn't matter how many followers you have. I've got that question. I only have, my 4 brothers are the only ones who follow me. Great. As long as you tweet it legally, tag Ethjets, we're going to have a mechanism and a system in place where you can upload it, and that system will verify that it is a valid tweet. It'll then disperse the funds to your wallet that you have connected.
That was the question I was going to ask, is how are you going to validate, someone goes, because it's not so much, and you could just say, oh, look, these people are promoting it. But if the SEC or whoever board comes in and says, well, hang on, you got to prove to us now that you are promoting, because it becomes an operational cost as opposed to a dividend or a yield, which means that you would be security, right? So that's why you're going along this path. So you don't get your payment until you prove that you've done the promotion of Ethjets, correct?
Correct.
And it's got to be a tagged post, or you'll have some sort of form of software that will pull that and see how many times it's been tagged. It will calculate who's done what, blah, 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 and go from there. Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you own multiple passes, let's say you own a captain pass, 2 captain passes, and a global pass, you can tweet 7 times every quarter. So at some point you will have received your initial investment back. And I can't guarantee it. That's a big thing with the attorneys. So make sure I'm very transparent.
That depends on the price of ETH as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have not seen one project give back to that capacity to their members. And in the beginning, it's going to be small. I mean, even though 1 jet is going to make $3 million, which is a lot of money, you take 10% of that's 300,000. But if you're spreading that around, amongst 5, 6, 7,000 tweets, it may only be 50, 80, $100, something like that. But that's in the beginning on 1 jet. Now you start multiplying that and expanding the fleet. And so you can kind of see where I'm going, that at some point, just by holding these passes, it'll be a good idea.
Well, the other thing is as well is that, and thank you for answering that question, by the way, Moose. Yeah. The other thing that I want people to understand is the scarcity. So when I said before, how many are in your Discord, you're like 1,400, people go, oh, that's not very many. But you got to remember there's only 2,700 passes. Because, well, realistically, there doesn't need to be more for the access to. And is this just going to be for 1 jet, or it will just expand over the fleet? Will you offer more NFTs as you do upgrade and buy another jet and another jet and another jet and so on and so forth?
No. And that's the thing, that came from the community, because when this started, I kind of was copying what everyone else did. I was going to do 10,000 NFTs, and they were all going to be priced at, like 0.19 or 0.17. I don't even remember anymore, but it was going to kind of be modeled. I was copying what everyone else is doing. I didn't really know what I was doing. Yeah. And through this process and like truly getting to know and plugging in with the community, asked them one day, does this make sense? Like, do you guys like this? Because to me, I feel like it'd be much more valuable if there were less. Would you be willing to pay more? And everybody in there was like, absolutely. Um, and so it kind of things changed and shifted for us because we're like, you know what? We don't need to copy what everyone else is doing and do the 7,777 or 10,000 and have 15,000 members. It's like we have a pretty small community, but they're legit people. They're awesome people. And so having 2,700 NFTs provides that value. But more importantly, what I'm getting at is we don't plan to, for every plane do a whole nother mint.
Okay.
So these planes itself, and that's the beauty of this, it's the NFT project is tied to a real business,
Mm.
and that real business will generate the revenue to buy additional aircraft. And so as this business grows, so does the value in your NFT pass, because we're not going to, saturate it and continue to dump, a whole nother set of
Yeah.
2,500 with every jet.
So just on that, 2,700 passes. Now, if you had your way, I would guess from the business understanding of how this might work, you'd want one pass per person. So therefore, you've got more people that can be promoting more. Well, you still like more people, a larger degree of people or a larger amount of people using it, the service. And of course, anyone who's using it's going to be taking their selfies. They're going to be tagging you. They're going to be saying, "Hey, look, I'm on a private jet. It's Ethjets. I'm an NFT holder." Blah, blah. It's going to snowball. One would hope. Is there a limit on how many passes people can buy to make sure that it's not just taken out by whales that just sit back and go, ha, 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 you want to fly private? Well, you can buy one for 15 grand.
Yeah. So that's awesome, man. Actually, we're gonna set a limit of five per
Five.
wallet, but it's actually more beneficial. I'd much rather each person buy multiple passes
Okay.
for the reason that exclusivity, less people, all trying to click on that empty leg at the same time.
Mm.
But and that's why we added a perk. If you own a global pass and a captain pass, we're gonna give you 3 friends and family passes a year. And what that means is if you have a brother in Brisbane and
You
you
got it.
see an empty leg, I got it. You see an empty leg on there, and you see an empty leg from Brisbane to Sydney, and you're like, hey, come on, I need you out here, but he's not an Ethjet holder. Rather than risk you having to send your pass to his wallet, have something
Yeah.
corrupted or stolen, if you own two or a Top Gun pass, you're going to be able to, in the system, select I want to use one of my friends and family passes, which will be good on empty legs or just chartering the jet. But most of us are going to be using those empty legs. And he will be able to hop on that with a +1. So it'll be good for 2 seats on that jet. And you can use that with a friends and family pass. So um, to circle back to your original thing, 5 NFT max per transaction. And gauging from pre-mint and some analytics we've done, we see most people are interested in owning multiple passes.
Yeah. Well, I can see why. Well, thanks for answering that. Now,
Yeah.
in your pitch deck, you've got, I think your calculations are based on the Ethereum price being 1,500 or above. Now, of course, Ethereum currently is below that and has the
Yeah.
potential to go further down. I noticed what you've done and what you discussed with me is that you're pricing it in USD. The USD will then be whatever amount, like at the time of when are you locking the sort of floor price, I suppose, on ETH?
Yeah. So what we did was, and that's again, I think one of the greatest things about our team and this community is we've been able to pivot. Like this project has pivoted so many times since we've started. And this was another pivot. I mean, when ETH was like 3,000, I thought 1,500, it'll never get that low. But just in case, we can make this work with a smaller jet. Um, Once it tanked past there, it's like, all right, it's time to pivot again. And talking with the community, really everyone had said, hey, rather than try to buy a smaller jet like a Citation with lower returns and it'd be a longer path to getting the Gulfstream, we really want to just go for the Gulfstream. And so what we did was we priced everything to raise the exact amount we needed to buy the Gulfstream, paint it, put a new interior in it, send our pilots to training, send our mechanic to training, as well as keep a huge chunk of that in reserves because things will break. It's a plane, they're like boats. And when they break, its smallest piece is extremely expensive. Um, and so we've transitioned to that. And so what we're going to do is on July 8th, whatever the price of ETH is, that will be the conversion rate to USD for the pass. And that'll be locked in for the mint on July 11th.
Okay, so mint on July 11th, ETH price locked in July 8th. Price is
Correct.
already on the ethjets.io website. So we've got an understanding of the date, when, what, how, why, passive
Well, hold
income
on.
potential there too.
Yeah, let me tell you this, and the reason why too, right? With the prices, how many projects and anybody listening who's bought an NFT, anybody listening who's bought an NFT has been rugged or has lost like 95% of the value.
Yeah,
Personally, I mean, I was like on a streak where everything I bought went to zero shortly after, and it's because they put all this hype, and if there's any change in ETH or the market or anything, they just tank. And
yeah,
so rather than continue with the prices we had before in ETH, knowing that there's a really small chance this is successful, all of us agreed like the only way we're going to put this out there with these prices is if this is what we need to make it successful, so the people buying know that it's going to work at these prices.
yeah. At least to start it on your first jet, and then
Yeah,
from there,
yeah,
as long as you're booking as long as you're taking your $3 million of the 200 million surplus, then you've got a successful business, which will then
yeah.
be able to expand into other jets. Of course, raising something like, I don't know, let's say 3 million that you're raising, something around that figure in USD,
Yeah.
buys you the jet, your training, everything that you said. If you can get the even 2 to 3 million out of the business over the first year, and you're going to be sharing the operating costs and whatnot in the Discord group, which will be locked and closed for pass
Hmm.
holders only, which makes sense because
Yep.
they're involved now. They're passengers, so to speak, to
Yeah,
use
yeah.
your airline lingo. And then um, from there, you'll be looking to reinvest a lot of those funds that you can back into expanding the fleet and taking a bigger chunk of that $200 million pie. Is that sort of the rough idea?
Yeah. That's it. So the goal is to get to 10 jets. One jet will help us fund two additional jets. We've got a commitment from a local bank president where I live, who works with the partner that we're going to be operating our aircraft under their certificate. That if we can show revenue for one jet, he'll basically finance two more for us. So that'll bring three jets, and then three jets will multiply into 10 relatively quickly with those type of returns. So the
Wow.
goal is 10. Yeah.
Excellent. The goal is 10, which will get you up between 30 and $50 million revenue a year.
Yes, sir.
Or
Yeah.
profit, actually, because you were saying $3 million profit, net profit off of one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot.
Good, good. Now, my final question for you, Nick. I
Yeah.
want to know, I want to give you, open the floor so that you can tell us, obviously this is a great idea. You've been in the aviation industry for a long time. You can see a gap in the market from a pure business point of view. It makes absolutely logical sense to be pursuing private charter in the US right now. And I'm going to be looking at options here in Australia just because I was blown away with the 200 million. I'm like, what is it here?
Yeah.
So that the
Yeah.
business model makes sense. You've got the NFT into, again, to give to the community, but also to create an environment where, it probably bring down some of the costs as well because you're able to link those link up flights around. So therefore, your normal clients, your very ultra wealthy clients that will be using the service at full price, they might get your service for a little bit less because one of the legs is being covered by one of the NFT holders to come back on that 90% discount. What will
Hmm.
have to happen for you and your team to be able to sit back and go, we did it. Not just 10 jets. What else is it? What's the vision coming to life and being realized from where you see it now? What does that mean?
I think I've really been thinking about this a lot lately. For me, it's not just the 10 jets, but I think it's changing the dynamics how people will start to view an industry. And I'm not even trying to put ourselves on the footprint of Uber, right? But before Uber, it was everyone was just content and cool with paying $50 for crappy service in a taxi cab. That was normal. And now you can hop in an Uber for half the price, and if you want a better service, you can pay a little bit more. But they've revolutionized an industry, and I truly believe that what we're doing, especially with the Web3, the smart contracts, the transparency, the community, everything we're doing in the Web3 side in conjunction with this business, I think when we can start to see this catch on with some of the major companies saying, hey, how do I do what you guys did? That'll be kind of like the aha moment where I think I'll feel pretty good. Like we're changing how people view an entire segment of an
Yeah.
industry. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, let's be honest. I mean, your example of Uber's gone to shit here, excuse my French, in Australia. But so too is airlines. Like, I fly quite a
yeah.
bit, and the major airlines here, I've had out of the last 7 flights, I've had 5 cancel, not delay, cancel, flat out cancel. which incurs more cost because you've got to go away from the airport, you've got to book your accommodation, you've got to do all this sort of stuff. Then you've got to claim it back. Then you've got to wait. And do they make the claiming process easy? No, they don't. There's a reason behind that. So there is so
Yeah.
much opportunity for the aviation industry, particularly helping people to get from A to B on time and reliability, especially in business. Because if I've got to go and present, say, in from Sydney, I've got to fly to Brisbane, and I've got to present 6:30 p.m. tomorrow night. I'll generally get in at maybe 3:30. By the time I get to my hotel, it'll be maybe 4:30. I get time to chill out, have a shower, whatever, get myself ready to present. But the problem I've got now is that I kind of have to go the day before, which means more cost because I'm not working from my terminal here. I'm working from a laptop when I'm on, when I'm in a hotel. But it also adds an additional night of hotel stay because I got to get there. I got to be on stage. I can't go, oh yeah, sorry, everyone come back tomorrow.
Hmm.
They've made it so bad. It's so horribly off track and off kilter right now that businesses would look at a cheaper or a any option to get them from A to B when they know that they can actually get there with less amount of time. And of course, that's why private charters exist, is that the wealthy go, well, I don't want to stuff around and waste time. I want to go from here to here and I want to go now so they can
Yeah.
still be
Yeah.
productive. And so there's a real opportunity. I'm not sure what's the same in the States, but here in
Yeah.
Australia, my goodness, our aviation industry has absolutely gone down the gurgler, as we would say.
I've never heard that word
You
before.
never heard
Did
that
you
one?
say
Oh man, I'll teach
gurgler?
you a lot. I'm the king of euphemisms. Oh, not euphemisms. I'm the king of analogies over here. But
That's so
Nick, I
funny.
just wanted to say for a start, thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy, and I'm glad you're not flying tonight because it's just come dark, and I'm watching the lightning behind you, and it's pretty nasty out there. Better to
Yeah.
be in a hotel room than flying a plane.
Yes, I am. Yep. I'm
So
in the
thank you
hotel
for your
room. So
time. Final thing is, I want you to be able to tell us where we can find out more about Ethjets. Of course, ethjets.io is the place to find it. Of course, I've not been paid, promoted, nothing for this interview, ladies and gentlemen. This is just me being interested in the space. Nick, let us know where we can find out more about the project.
yeah, so the best place to go is our website, ethjets.io. So ethjets.io. On there, you're going to see a lot of information. You're going to see our 3 passes, and that's where you're going to see really a detailed line by line item, side by side comparison of the different perks that you get with each pass, because each pass is different and there is a different price to it. The big thing though is you're going to see a button there for join Discord. Discord is really everything for these NFT projects, including ours. So join the Discord and ask away. I mean, ask any dumb question you think that hasn't been asked already. There's an answer section, question section, but the people in there are awesome. And this is really how this interview got set up, right? It was from someone in our
Yeah.
Discord reaching out. And so it just goes to show that people truly believe in this project and what we're doing. And that means a lot for sure.
Unreal. Well, thank you so much for your time once again, Nick. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
it is Nick Scott, founder of Ethjets. Appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you get this thing off the ground. But
Thank you. Ah, no pun.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. You have yourself a fantastic day, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Bye for now.